America! Are you serious? It is showtime, baby! Here we go!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, June 1st. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Miss Joanne, our floor director, the ever so lovely Mr. Stat Boy, and on the panel, to my immediate right, the Duke, and on my far right, Mr. Dave Handy. We have the good doctor, Dr. J, is Mighty Mel, Darren Reese, Mike Prazo, Bitsy, Jim Fitzgerald, just like myself, so please, I'm not going to beg, but may I implore you, let's get some phone calls tonight. Not to use a sports cliche, but it's been a real team effort. Of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. I am the Nighthawk, along with our aforementioned engineer, Alan Ritchie Cunningham. On my left, Super Dave Handy. My right, Mr. Duke Forrest. And tonight's show starts the 19th season of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. We had our first broadcast, I believe it was March 18th, 2003.
All right.
And a lot of overtures from ESPN and Fox Sports, but we've remained loyal to Northwest Public Access. So,
kudos to yourself in particular. You give the show a lot of effort, it shows, and so congratulations to you in particular. Many thanks to Dave for joining us.
David, how many years have you been on?
Oh, it's been quite a while.
Good question. And Dr. J, I want to thank Dr. J for many years of service, and of course our man Leg, who we started the show with and unfortunately lost over a decade ago. But thanks to everyone. But again, you've done a fine job.
Yeah, 6-7 years maybe.
I would say so, yeah.
That's easy to believe.
Well, it goes by fast.
It does.
Yeah.
And we continue to have the streak of being the number one sports television show in Franklin County. It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
So, couple things. David, I want to ask you a question. Gas prices. I don't get out of the house much this time of the year, but I had to get a haircut, blah, blah, blah today. And I saw gas
yesterday, huh?
I saw gas prices, Dave, up at $2.85, and I'm thinking to myself, I enjoy history. I wouldn't consider myself an expert historian, but I don't recall gas prices going up like this during the month of March. What's going on?
Well, a lot of it supposedly is because of the freeze in Texas.
Really, that's a good hunk. That's
supposedly it, because all of the refineries were shut down for about 10 days. It doesn't take much to screw up the supply chain of anything that gets used up a lot.
But David, the gas that gets brought to the station, pumped in, is stuff that's been sitting around for months and months and months. I mean, that freeze in Texas, to me, would affect the reserve a number of months later. So I'm just not catching the drift.
Well, I think what happens with gasoline is the minute the price goes up wholesale, the retail prices go up. And I think it takes there's a little bit of a lag before they come back down.
Yeah, right.
And, but they aren't any different. It's capitalism working the way it's supposed to work. Mm-hmm. Supply and demand. And I'd like to, I think I'd like to blame it on our new president, but.
Yeah. I can't believe, though, demand is all that high because for the most part, nothing's open.
Well, I'll tell you what.
It's picking up.
You get out of Vermont and you get out of New England and you go to,
Texas or
go
Florida.
to Texas, go to Florida, go to the Carolinas. It's like COVID never happened.
Mm-hmm. Give me a couple of weeks and I'm doing just that.
And you go to Florida and I'm telling you, there is an explosion of construction and traffic. And when we went, we screwed up the trip. I'm not going to repeat the whole story, but we ended up driving from Orlando to Fort Myers. Traffic on I-75 was bumper to bumper, all going 90 miles an hour. So there's, don't let Vermont and New York fool you. There's a lot of the country that's really taken off. But gas, a lot of the gas in Texas, they lost about 2 weeks production.
Okay.
So, and what happened is a lot of the pipes froze. They just weren't ready
Yeah.
for, and not just oil pipes, but water pipes, all kinds of pipes. They just weren't, they just had, hey, it was like zero for about 10 days.
Yeah.
They can't handle that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. And Duke, just want to let you know, as of 6 o'clock tonight, Lake Champlain's at 95.17 feet.
Yeah.
And the lake temperature is at 34.3. And I was watching the Channel 3 11 o'clock news last night, and our good friend Dan Dowling was intimating about the snowfall in March, or their lack of, like we're, I don't know, barely over an inch in the month of March.
Yeah, not much.
We're still in a drought, technically.
I would say so. Boston, in fact, I was just watching NECN. Boston had 0 snow last March. Boston hasn't had any snow this March, and it's over halfway through the month. And in the forecasting, Letty noted that just been a couple times Boston's never had snow in back-to-back Marches, but Burlington's up to about 60 inches. Again, its annual average is about 75 to 80, so Burlington looks likely to be a below-average winter. But yeah, no, it's still, I
We've
agree.
been in
it's
a
still
pattern for the
drought
last
conditions.
year and a half of, it's dry. It's,
Yeah, it's
we
very
need some
dry.
rain.
Well, I did not know we were in a drought. Are we
We
really?
technically
Well, it's
are in a
been-
drought.
Yeah, we've been in a drought or more or less for, a long time.
Yeah. Of course, what we need is a good couple steady days of rain, but
No, it's very dry out there.
Right, right.
the weather can change. There's no snow in the forecast. Next week's going to be 60.
there isn't, right, I know.
Another cold day, Friday, a very cold day, and then much warmer next week.
Yeah, so, okay, we'll get started with
The lake,
sport.
for the record, I just checked again today, it's
Oh.
about 2 feet below, roughly 2 feet below what it was the last 2 years at this time.
And that means what?
Well, it means, I guess, the obvious, like I've been voicing concern all along. If it stays dry, good luck with our kayaking. Well, we may not have enough water to get the kayaks out there.
Yeah.
You know how far you have to walk out to get up to your hip.
Yeah.
That's my big concern, because I like a high lake for just kayaking.
Yeah.
Boating, I mean, it's going to be, if the lake stays low, just a big
There's
drag
a
for
lot
boaters.
of stuff that happens. You hit a lot of rocks. My brother lost his whole lower unit on his
Really?
boat.
Every year between Hathaway Point and Mosquito Island, there's at least one. I mean, you know how shallow the water is there. Somebody unknowingly will go through it and, whew,
Yeah.
Again, we came so close to being able to walk out. We didn't quite make it, or I'm forgetting. We didn't quite make it, right? But I mean, you could walk out there and just get
Oh, yeah.
your, ankles up
Yeah.
to your ankles or so.
Now, when was it we had the record high water? Was it like
2011.
10 years ago? 2011?
2011, record high of 103.3 roughly.
Think of how much water we had then and how little we got now.
Yeah, we're down about 8 feet from that record high right now.
wow, that's crazy. Wow. That's mind-boggling, yeah. So, okay, Bfa Hockey, our engineer, Richie Cunningham, let us know that, I guess they were live streaming the girls' game today. They actually lost today to the team of Burlington/Colchester 4-2 in an upset. And BFA was scheduled to play Stowe tonight, and they got a case of the COVID.
Who, Stowe or us?
Stowe did. So they had to forfeit the game, and BFA automatically gets into the Final Four this Saturday night.
Wow.
I do not know where, but I believe they'll be playing. I was going to say the CVU Crusaders, but, oh, God forbid. That would be the CVU...
Red Hawks.
Red Hawks, okay.
Though, you know what? Just to be that way, these new names, Red Hawks, Sea Wolves, these wolves and hawks are predators. And I'm thinking that, maybe we should get rid of those names too, because they're this whole predator business and the Me Too movement, we need to get names that are a little more innocuous, like the teddy bears or the Barbie dolls or whatever they want to call them.
Well, MVU and BFA are birds, right? The Thunderbirds and Bob Whites, even though...
Well, Thunderbird could be sort of a racist connotation of Indians. So that name, I would say, is in jeopardy.
Are you serious? No, are you being facetious or serious?
Oh, I'm facetious as I'll get out.
Oh, okay.
And well, the Swanton Indians,
Bob Whites.
For those of us that have been around for a while, Swanton High School before MVU were the Swanton Indians.
Oh,
they were?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I did not know that.
And their colors, I think, were orange and maybe orange and white. I can't remember.
Now, speaking of Thunderbird, isn't that a cheap wine or something?
Yeah, it is. But the Thunderbird is an Indian, is an Indian something or other.
Okay.
Of course, Rutland's been going through. There was the
Right.
Rutland Raiders. They officially changed to the Ravens, and I think at least one, if not more, school board member lost their re-election bid because they're defeated by a Raiders supporter. So Rutland's in the throes of this. Hawk, I think I told you, I think Peru, New York, I think they changed from Peru Indians to the Peru Nighthawks, I think. I think they're the Nighthawks.
Well, it won't be long. They'll be changing the St. Albans City School because they're Raiders. And we can't, of course, we can't have that name. Got nothing to do with the St. Albans raid of
But that
1864.
was, again, when that was voted in 1970, and you're 2 years ahead of me, so you were a freshman, we took a vote, and the finalists were the Raiders or the Maple Leafs. And here I am in 7th grade saying, my gosh, those are two great nicknames. Maple Leafs, signifying our great maple sugar industry. And, of course, the St. Albans Raid, and the Raiders went out.
Now, and of course, a bobwhite is quite an aggressive bird.
See, I'm not familiar with the bobwhite.
and
That, of course, came from Bob
and
White,
the comets were, let's face it, a comet took care of the dinosaurs, so we can't be comets either.
Well, David, now that I've never asked that question, is BFA the only school in the country
that has
two nicknames? And why?
Well, comets are easy.
Between the girls and boys?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to think. I wouldn't think so. But
I can tell you why.
You can.
I can tell you why. Because
Wait. Comet.Comey?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Because you got to remember, you go back 50 years, there was only one girls' sport. It's basketball. And Doc Comey coached BFA for like 50 years. Mm-hmm. So it was Comey's Comets and the Bob Whites for Coach Bob White.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Those are racist names too, but we won't go into detail on that.
Yeah.
They discriminate against elderly people too.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So.
But anyway, I shouldn't be so flippant. But Comey's Comets was really, and because Doc Comey coached forever.
What did he teach, David?
History. I had him.
Was he a good teacher?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Grumpy Gus.
Yeah.
You couldn't teach that way today. And if you got a C, you got a C.
Yeah.
Today, when you get a C, the teacher gives you the answers and says, if you redo the test, I'll hear the answers.
Yeah.
And we'll help you out.
Exactly. And you went to Hingham High?
Indeed, graduate of Hingham High, the Harbormen.
I love that nickname, the Harbormen.
I'm sure there's some connotation to that of white privilege. So.
Yeah. But that is a great nickname, Harbormen.
Decent name.
So
I think that's stuck. I'm not aware that's under attack.
Okay. And another thing, it was announced today that Tax Day will be May 15th.
Thanks for, that's
May
for the
15th?
feds? Is Vermont doing that also?
Yeah.
So May 15th?
It's nothing
Wow.
official, but the gist of it, of course.
Yeah, your good friend, Sock. Yeah, your life's being made pretty miserable, I suspect.
It's horrible.
Well, last year they pushed it to June 30, right?
July 15th.
Or July 15,
July
excuse
15.
me.
But what occurred was, and of course, I was somewhat upset that some knucklehead down in Montpelier screwed up the unemployment. You know how Dave...
1099 Gs.
Yours would end up in Brattleboro
Right.
somewhere, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, unreal.
Well, we're always busy. very steady February, and I knew the tsunami was coming once the unemployments were being sent out, as Duke said, 1099-G. So March 1st, I mean, it hit was like crazy, like everybody's aunt and uncle at some point last year. And I'm over-exaggerating, but I would say about a third.
Well, it was
Either 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months. A lot of people.
the unemployment at one time was about 25%.
Yeah. So it came in, of course, started doing them, and all of a sudden that's 1.9 trillion stimulus package, of which 9% is for actual money for the folks, but that's another topic for another day. So part of that package was people receiving unemployment, the first $10,200 will be forgiven, non-taxable.
Okay.
So just
Oh,
say.
is that what they decided?
Yeah, so say David got $14,200, so he's only going to be taxed for $2,000. So that has put a big kibosh. Now.
Sorry, your math just confused me.
Okay.
So,
If David earned or got unemployment of
think round numbers, 14,000 and 10,000. Well, I'm sorry. Forgiven is how much?
If
10,000?
David got 14,200 with a forgiveness of 10,200,
10,000,
David
4,000.
would only have $2,000 of taxable income.
2,000 or 4,000? Your math is still couldn't. I thought you were giving me the figures.
Did I say 14?
14, 2, and 10, 2.
Yeah, it should be.
That's why I do numbers all day.
That's my question.
Okay, now, with, again, the aforementioned knucklehead of Montpelier, if I could take him out for dinner, I would, because it really
poison the person.
tremendously lessened our blow here in Vermont, because there was only X number of days that the unemployment papers were out. Now, I know you talked to your accountant down in Massachusetts.
Going crazy.
Going nuts. Now, just think of all these other 49 states that got all the paperwork
Yeah.
mid to late January.
Wow.
They have to do amended taxes, okay? And it's going to take forever. So that's why they moved it to May 15th. And that kind of surprised me that it didn't really go to June, but.
And Hawk, again, did the feds make the first move? With the IRS went to May 15, and will all the states follow? Do they have to follow that or not?
Right now, it's a good question. It's
Vermont
tentative. Vermont officially hasn't. It's all tentative right now.
At the federal level too, or is
Federal,
IRS?
right, this is federal,
It's
but
all tentative?
right. But
that's what it looks like?
yeah. We expect some official word in the next day or so.
Yeah, no, as I told you, I'm so sympathetic to you folks and my guy in America's hometown of Plymouth, Mass. I mean, what a hassle.
Well, they just can't keep sending money to everybody for.
Yeah, you'd think they might want to, even the Republicans who seem to just take a break on fiscal responsibility, they seem to have jumped back into that.
It's
So,
going to have to be paid back someday, or at least with interest.
yeah, we're getting close to what, 30 trillion in debt now?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So, okay, the big news this week was
NFL
free agency.
Can I hold up today's Boston Herald? I don't know if Alan can.
Boy, the Patriots
Dollar bill.
The Patriots
stepped into it big.
Can you see this enough?
dollar bill. Yeah. The Patriots, for a lot of these folks, kind of overspent. Their coup de grace was the two tight ends getting.
Two tight ends. They got the two best
Jonas
tight ends.
They go from nothing to two very good tight ends.
Yeah. So they got Matt Judon. They got a bunch of people.
Hunter Henry, another big pickup.
Right,
today.
the tight end. They picked up now. This is a guy I thought they overpaid for. Nelson Aguilar. He was a former first-round pick of the Eagles, and underachieved. Went to the Raiders, underachieved there. But the Pats picked him up, I believe, 1 year, 13.
Where did Hurts go?
Zach Ertz?
Yeah.
He's still available.
I'm surprised nobody.
He's
picked
not.
him.
I don't believe, David, he's a free agent.
Oh, I
think
he was, isn't he?
No, I think he's. Check your tweet machine.
And I love my man Joe Tooney, who you've heard me
Zach
talk
Ertz,
about
a free
high
agent.
praise. I'm glad Joe got a very good paycheck. Went to the Chiefs for $80 million, and a bunch of that guaranteed. You know the stats on this guy, Hawk? How about I believe he didn't, first of all, the only NFL player to play for a Super Bowl team in his first 3 seasons.
Okay.
How about never missed a game because of an injury, I believe. And at least 1 season, no penalties. A guy who kept his mouth shut, great. So thanks, Joe, for a tremendous guy. Actually, it's funny, though, Hawk, you often say, Belichick in particular, better to let somebody go a year early. I'm surprised, we talked about this, I think, last week with Dave. I'm surprised they franchise tag. They threw about $14.5 million at him for, in retrospect, no particular good reason and stuff. That's one decision that kind of puzzles me. I'm surprised they just didn't let him walk last season. But anyway, Joe Thuney, great effort out of NC State, ACC guy, 3rd round pick, and just a great guy.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes should be giving him a call,
of course,
saying welcome
the
aboard.
Chiefs let go their starting tackles. Eric Fisher, former number 1 pick, and I can't remember the guy on the right side.
There's a tremendous number of guys who are going to be cut in the next couple, either today or tomorrow.
Right. Some teams are over, and at least 3 teams
are still over the salary cap.
Right. And the bottom line there was the salary cap last year was 198.5. This year it's 182.5. So there's a $16 million difference. Now the Patriots, Duke, last year were actually ranked, and I told you, if you watch the games, a decent offensive line despite all their other ills. But Pro Football Focus gave them the 9th best offensive line in football last season.
Boy, for the Patriots fans, geez, if they had a quarterback, this might be a pretty scary team. I should give kudos to the boss man here, Paul Snyder. Paul, I told you, Paul was saying all along, hey, don't be surprised, Cam may not be going anywhere. And guess what? Paul got a free haircut. I guess he had a bet with his haircut guy who said, Cam Newton, no, he's gone. Paul said, he's not gone. So Paul got a free haircut out
Duke,
of it.
I truly, truly appreciate that you didn't bring up that somebody on this panel made a...
Hurts is not a free agent.
Correct. That somebody on this panel gave a Nighthawk guarantee that Cameron Newton would not be back on the Patriots. I said, it's ridiculous to even think about.
Yeah, well, Dan Shaughnessy's in agreement with you. In fact, I love Shaughnessy's, if I can find that.
But does that not open the door? The Pats have the 15th pick in the draft to, A, take a flyer on Mac Jones out of Alabama.
I'm not sure it's a flyer even. I think Belichick loves Saban in Alabama. I'm not even sure I'd call it a flyer.
The problem with Alabama and Ohio State is David Handy could win 8 games with Alabama.
I think you're a little.
Did you read? I read just before we came on the air. Big trade that almost happened. Russell Wilson to the Bears. And it was they were going to give 3 first-round draft picks the next 3 years, 3 third-round picks, and 2 starters. And the coach for the Seahawks,
Pete
Carroll, said he nixed the trade. But that's how close they were. So that's when the Bears ended up signing
Andy Dalton
for
$10 million.
For $10 million.
Average, decent quarterback.
He's okay. He won't kill you, but he's not going to win a lot of games for you.
Had the Patriots done that, I probably wouldn't be too unhappy.
Yeah. Now, Mac Jones, again, I still consider him a flyer. Playing in that football factory called Alabama, the knock against him, and I don't find it a knock, the new age quarterback is the guy that can run around.
Right.
Okay. Well, Mac Jones is your prototypical stay in the pocket guy. Okay. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. There's nothing wrong with a pocket passer.
Right.
And
Tom Brady's fared pretty well being a pocket passer.
Yeah. Tom Brady's not athletic by any stretch of the imagination.
No, the Patriots picked up a lot of guys. They had a lot of money. The Giants.
But I didn't notice much Giant activity.
Well, they just signed Leonard Williams today.
They re-upped him
for 60-something million.
63, 3 years, 63 million.
But the line was Daniel Jones. Give Daniel Jones a body or two to throw to, or he may be history.
Well,
Wasn't that the line?
I don't know what Gettleman's plan is, but they did sign some guy who washed out. He was a number 6 draft pick receiver. Some guy, they signed him on a flyer for $1 million contract.
No, they picked up John Ross.
Right, that's the guy.
From the Bengals, who was a ninth overall pick.
Yeah, he was a
in the
big time.
2017 draft. Listen to this. Measured in the 40 at Indianapolis, 4.22.
Fastest one ever.
Fastest player in football.
Really?
Unfortunately, again, another one of those great athletes, just not a good football player. So the Giants took a flyer, 1 year, $2.5 million. You know, maybe he can be a number 4 guy. Now, the problem with the Giants, Leonard Williams, overpaid. Personally, I would have liked to seen that $21 million and spent on 2 players, but Williams.
Well, they lost Tomlinson.
We got a call?
Yeah. Let's grab a call. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hey, fellas. Good to see you all back together.
Hello.
Alan, we can't hear anything. Sorry,
Can you
caller.
hear
If
me
you can
now?
hear us, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
We cannot hear you.
We cannot hear him.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Nope.
Well, I guess we better keep talking for the moment.
How about
Hawk,
now?
Wasn't the line, weren't Giants fans or Daniel Jones people saying, hey, give him some more bodies to throw to?
Well,
or-
maybe he's going to do it in a draft. I don't know.
Okay, here, and I'm not giving a Nighthawk guarantee.
Understandably.
I think that was a dig over here. Okay, the Giants have done very little. They signed a special teamer, and I follow football rather closely. Never heard of this guy. Colin Kalapsi, never heard of the guy. They did sign Devontae Booker to take Wayne Goblin's spot. As their backup running back, 2 years, $6 million, played with the Raiders last year. Decent player. Again, I'm not going to get excited over a backup player. As you mentioned, David, we did lose a guy who I think is a
Steady Eddie
Delvin
Tomlinson.
Tomlinson, just a really, really nice player, and the quality of his play doesn't show up on the stat sheet. I mean, he just terrorizes that line. It makes life easier for
And he
everybody.
went to Minnesota just like Linville Joseph.
That's right. So, Leonard Williams, he is now the second highest paid defensive lineman in football.
Really?
You probably can guess who the number 1 is.
I would hope it's the Ram
Yeah,
guy.
Aaron Donald.
So Williams was good last year.
Oh, he was great last year. He
And-
really was. And with a 3-year contract, he's 27 years old. So his contract will be done before he hits 30. We'll get his prime years from him. And I can
you
live
can
with
always, if he gets too pricey, you can always stretch him out in a couple of years. And
Yeah.
But
And
aren't you concerned about, weren't you at least hoping for some offensive moves here?
well, to start with, Duke, we didn't have much money. Our old friend Nate Soldier is back.
he took a cut.
He was scheduled to get 16 and a half salary bonuses. He went down to 10 and a half, gave us $6 million. I expect Soldier to be starting at right tackle this year. Now.
Didn't take him long. Ziegler ended up getting signed right off,
Right.
too.
Kevin Zeitler, our right guard,
Probably their best lineman.
and definitely. And he would have gotten $12 million. They caught him, signed right away with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, who is the number 1 wide receiver in this free agency?
There's a guy from the Bears, I guess. He's the number 1, isn't he?
They franchised him, Allen
Okay.
Robinson. From Detroit, Kenny Golladay. Okay? Now, you noticed here we are, 7 o'clock, still not signed. Me thinks that the Giants are in deep discussions with Golladay to sign with us. So if you're looking for that guy to throw to, he's 6 feet 4 inches, really good receiver. Some injury questions about him.
But again, weren't you hoping, wasn't I mean, hasn't that been the line on, especially folks who weren't prepared to dump on Daniel Jones to throw him out now, give him some more weapons? Wasn't that kind of a general comment?
I certainly didn't. We didn't have any money to really play with.
They barely were able to get under the cap as it was.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah. We didn't have much, and they're going to have to do some fooling around to get Galladay. Now, I expect by
Well, you got Saquon back.
2 o'clock tomorrow, Galladay will be somewhere. The other two leading suitors for him are the Jacksonville Jags. And of course, I'm not sure if he'd want to be catching balls from a rookie, Trevor Lawrence. And Miami Dolphins with a weak arm quarterback and Tua.
Tua, for the record, was 6-3 in his 9. I think Tua gets beat up too much. I don't know why people are throwing the towel in on Tua.
Well, Fitzmagic went to the Redskins.
Hockey, you've given Daniel Jones two. Tua's had what, one part of 1 year, correct?
Dude, you know me. I give a lot of
Jones
rope.
couple of years.
I give a lot of rope to rookies, but he just did not grade out well. They made a mistake.
He won 2/3 of his games that he started.
They made a mistake. Fitzpatrick was actually having a MVP type season.
No,
with the
I
Dolphins.
agree, but I'm just saying his record is
Yeah.
right. You're the
I think
you're the big
maybe
stat guy.
you might be a little tough on him. Let him
will.
rehab. He's
Oh,
all
very
rehab
tough
now.
on him.
No injuries, no surgeries.
And I won't beat up on the guy even on his second year. However, I still think Deshaun Watson could end up in Miami.
Boy, it sounds like Deshaun's got some other issues. that I
Deshaun
just
could
heard
end up
about
in
today.
jail.
What's that?
He could end up in jail from what I read.
I just heard that today.
He got a little frisky apparently in the
He was
massage.
getting a massage and he wanted the happy ending.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the report in the New York Post was quite sordid.
Is that right?
And if it's true, he's in big trouble. He won't be playing for anybody.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Especially in today's,
Wow.
of course, football players, that's considered normal behavior. But
I heard an interesting thing that if he does, if he can get by this issue, that Carolina might. Again, he sounds like suppose he doesn't want to be in Texas. Carolina might go after him. They're concerned with Trevor Lawrence going to Jacksonville. Not all that far away from, wicked far away, but concerned that Carolina fans may just flock to Jacksonville with their Clemson guy, Trevor. So maybe it makes sense for Carolina to get a Clemson guy to cut that down. Nothing, I heard somebody talk
No, you're
about
correct. The word is Carolina is actually making the biggest push to get Watson.
well, the other thing that I read was that this guy from the New York Post really skewered Deshaun and said, you just signed a 4-year extension for $30 million a year. And then all of a sudden, in 2 weeks later or a month later, you're whining and you want out. I mean, come on. You owe it to the team you're the quarterback just to play and shut up.
Yeah.
$30 million a year is serious coin.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty good money.
Yeah.
It is. And, they're going to be like the NBA. The players are running the league. I thought the Cowboys paid too much for Prescott, too, but.
Oh, David, he's never done anything. Yeah, he's a good quarterback, but I don't think I don't consider Dak Prescott a top 10 quarterback.
But I mean, but quarterbacks are getting the money.
Well,
they're
I'll tell you
getting
what I
and-
would have done. I would have kept Andy Dalton for $10 million and saved yours. How much did Dak sign for? Like
$35 million, $40 million a year.
Yeah, I thought closer to 40. I would have saved that 30 and picked up either 2 or 3.
When Mahomes kicks in, he's going to get $50 million a year.
Yeah, the quarterback money is.
$50 million. When you take $50 million, and the cap is 180,
Insane.
that doesn't leave a lot for 49 other players.
But you know what, Duke? I'm looking forward with the Patriots. I'm a big Damien Williams fan. The running back, is it Williams? Damien
Harris? Damian Harris?
Damian Harris, sorry. Okay, out of Alabama. I thought he was their best offensive player last year.
Yeah, he looked pretty good at
Just a
times.
really good player. Again, you do not have to reinvent the wheel. There's nothing wrong with establishing a good running
Oh,
game.
sure. No, the Pats, I think that seems to be the speculation, especially if Cam's your guy.
Yeah.
Serious running.
And
That's fine
they
with
did
me.
get Ted Karras back. Former player, he signed with the Dolphins last year, but they got him back today with
Oh, really?
one year, $4 million contract. He can go guard and center. Not a bad player.
What about all the COVID take the season off guys that they had?
Yeah, I think like folks like Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung, yeah, they're back. Like I said, if the Pats had a quarterback that, they'd be a pretty scary team. And who knows, maybe, I think if Cam's their guy, and Cam ran pretty well last year. I think he ran for more touchdowns than he threw for. If they can build around a really solid running attack and they get their defense back, maybe without even Cam, just being fair, they might have a fairly decent team.
I think we all can agree on that. Cam will not be worse this season than he was last season.
I think so, but I'm just wondering if Cam, if he's just a guy right now and they still have other designs on a QB. But knowing Belichick, I bet, can I just read Shaughnessy's been going crazy. The Globe's fine columnist Dan Shaughnessy just saying, weeks ago, please don't sign Cam. I don't want to have needles in my eye. This is how he started his Sunday column big headline. Hoping Newton's return a backup plan. Cam Newton is back with the Patriots. Wow. Maybe the Celtics should summon Rick Pitino for another try at the new Garden. I understand Carl Crawford is available to give the Red Sox some veteran depth in their depleted outfield. And he quotes Rodney Harrison, who I love. Rodney, it would be a terrible mistake for Bill Belichick to bring Cam back because Cam can't play football anymore. He just can't play quarterback in the National Football League. Shaughnessy, that pretty much covers it for me. How about you? Just a little more. As ever, stubborn Bill knows more than we do, and he's going to show you how smart he is again. He was hoping Cam's returning in a backup role, but $14 million seems steep for a backup. Of course, that's before this week's huge news about all these good players, but I'm sure that doesn't change his mind anymore.
To keep it into perspective, Cam Newton threw for 8 touchdowns last year.
And I think had 10 interceptions.
While their former quarterback threw for 40 touchdowns last year. So
now you're thinking in retrospect, maybe they should have spent some of the mega bucks that they just spent and maybe tried harder to bring Brady back with a little more help for him. But
I'll tell you what, I think Brady had decided he'd had enough of New England.
I think so.
And he wanted to go to Florida.
Yeah. His last year, he wasn't happy there at all. Just his post-game, pressers and stuff, he would be grumbling and stuff. No, I think like Mookie, I think he was heading out of town. Say what you want about them not keeping him. Yeah, hey, how can you blame him? Things have worked out seemingly fairly well for Tom in Tampa.
Yeah. Another player, kind of an under the radar guy, Kendrick Bourne from the Niners.
Good player, huh?
He's a decent player.
Yeah.
So, you're not going to have superstars at all 22 positions.
Yeah.
The checkbook will warrant against that. But the Pats had plenty of money to spend, and again, when you're in free agency, there's a tendency.
I think we got to try another call, Hawk.
Let's grab a call. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hey, good evening, guys. Can you hear me?
Alan, sounds like same issue. Sorry, caller. You can hear us, I guess. We cannot hear you.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
Still nothing, huh?
Sounds like the whatever.
Okay, then.
Sorry, caller.
And I lost my train of
Anyway, so if the Pat get some half decent play out of Cam, and seemingly the Pats should be back to being a fairly decent team. You might think.
And again, as you mentioned, the COVID guys coming back, definitely going to help. No, listen, as bad as the Patriots were last year, they still won 7 games.
Yeah.
Won one more game, that would have been a 500 team.
Yeah, could have won a few more games. I heard one report that the Pats might have some interest in Leonard Fournette. Any truth to that? Is he?
I heard
there are a lot of teams being mentioned for him.
We're interested. That's the type of running back Pete Carroll likes. Remember Marshawn Lynch?
Yes.
That type of guy. And Rob Gronkowski, he did resign
1 year, $10 million
with the Bucks, but reports were he was that close to signing with Buffalo.
Oh, really?
Because he's from, I didn't know this, he's from the Buffalo area, and he thought about going home for his final season.
I'm sure Brady heard about that and probably got on the phone.
Put the squeeze on him.
Yeah. As I sit here right now, during this free agency period, can I say the New York Giants are a better football team than they were 3 days ago?
I wouldn't think you'd say that.
The answer is no, because Leonard Williams was probably the number one defensive guy available. Well, we had him on our team, so we certainly didn't get any better. We've already had him. John Ross is
nothing.
Is a poster child of a flyer pick. And I'll repeat myself. Kenny Golladay will make or break the limited amount of money the Giants had if they can get him to sign a contract.
All these big receivers are still out there. Juju or Schuster or whatever his name is.
Okay,
from the Steelers. There's a lot of the receivers haven't been getting the big money.
No, you're right. The dominoes really, somebody big has to sign to set the market for what a wide
which is unusual.
Yep.
Because like you were saying, usually the top guys, the edge rushers are gone pretty much. There's still a lot of quarterbacks. I was looking at my thing here. None of them any good. I mean, you can get RG3. You can get Alex Smith, who's a nice story. I think he'd make the Giants a good backup.
I think they'll go with Colt McCoy again, though, Dave. They probably.
I'll tell you what, that Colt McCoy, I think I can throw farther than he can. I think I got a little more lively arm than he does.
What about the New York Post Giants beat writers? Were they unhappy with such little activity, or acknowledging that?
They have not been. They have not been real happy with what's going on.
And they're pretty shaky. Some of those guys are pretty shaky about Daniel Jones, right?
Well, they think that, of course, you got this is such a strange year when you got a salary cap that's $20 million less than last year.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get rid of guys. It's just a matter of, I think all the teams are going to stink, except for maybe Tampa.
Boy, Tampa's looking pretty good.
Yeah. They were able to keep all their guys. Look at Kansas City. They got rid of their 2 starting tackles. Think about that.
Yeah. Duke, the Giants want a playmaker, and I've been tooting my horn about drafting Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern, second best offensive lineman next to Penny Sewell out of Oregon.
That's a good point. They do have what should be a pretty good draft pick.
But now that Nate Soldiers re-signed, I'm not banging the drum anymore. So at this point, if the draft was tonight and we don't get Golladay, then Jalen Waddle out of Alabama would be the obvious pick.
What about Evan Ingram? Did they? Is he a free agent? Or?
Gettleman likes him. He's on his final year of his contract at $6 million, which is a marginal price. And it's so frustrating, David.
He's the guy I'd have cut 2 years ago.
Yeah, but
you can't count on him.
So athletic. But again, just not a great football player. Drops too many passes. And if you remember, and I don't have a great memory, but that Philadelphia game
I do.
was a 3rd and 10, something like that, wide open. And that
hits him right in the hands, and it goes right and gets intercepted, and the guy runs it back for a touchdown.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Is that the one that went through his hands, hit his helmet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was a Dallas game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That they could have won the game. It had it right. Or no, it was the first Eagles game. He had one right here.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's...
So, Duke, I do have a question, though. With Jonas Smith and Hunter Henry, 2 better than average tight ends in the fold for the Patriots, they spent 2 third-round picks last year. I think they totaled 18 catches for the...
The two tight ends.
Devin Keene, I'm trying to remember their names.
I think one of them caught a touchdown in the last game.
I think they had one touchdown.
They were terrible. So they had no Jacoby Myers, undrafted out of NC State, same college as Joe Tooney, was probably about their best receiver. They had nothing.
Yeah,
didn't have much.
Yeah.
The Giants actually re-signed that tight end they had that they paid him too much last year, and they re-signed him for like $1 million.
Yeah, about a 6'6".
Yeah, I think he's a blocker mostly.
Blocking tight end.
Yeah.
So, Giant fans, don't jump off the ship quite yet. This free agency period, as David mentioned, there's still some decent wide receivers. Again, we didn't have a big wallet here this year, unfortunately.
And I think there's going to be a lot of cut guys
Well, I think
that are going to be able. You're going to be able to buy them for 20 cents on a dollar.
Right, bargain basement pricing.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So Devontae Smith, I expect to go to the Eagles, but I think Waddle will be there. The guy I really wanted was Kyle Pitts, the huge 6'6" tight end out of Florida, but he's kind of jumped up the board, and he could go to the Panthers, 8th overall pick. So, and the NFL draft is April 29th, first round.
Now we can. You want to switch to baseball?
I do want to switch to baseball because, and let me just jump first on it. Get rid of my.
What? No,
Okay.
no March Madness?
Well, Duke, remember about a month ago, I was talking about the Red Sox, and I said I was really intrigued with Bobby Dahlbeck, your first baseman. Well,
Home run or strikeout?
he hit his 5th home run today, which
Didn't he have a grand slam today?
it might have been. So I went back to look at his stats last year, and I knew he struck out a lot. Wow. Okay, so 80 at-bats, 8 home runs, and you project if he gets 560 at-bats, he'll end up with 54 home runs.
Like 30s to 40 strikeouts?
But I can see Dahlbeck realistically hitting 30 to 35 home runs.
Right,
But
and
what
striking
got
out 200
me,
times.
Duke, remember, 80 at-bats. What's half of 80?
Right, I was going to
40.
say, didn't he strike out about 40 times?
39 times. I looked at that and I said, I've got to be, that is incredible.
So if you take 40 and interpolate it and multiply that times
Imagine
By
if,
7,
by 7,
that's 280.
he could strike out 300 times.
imagine if these old, like, Joe, we've talked about Joe DiMaggio. What did Joe, like 20 strikeouts maybe in a season? Ted Williams, imagine how these guys
I don't
are.
think Joe DiMaggio had 200 strikeouts his whole career.
I think the year Joe DiMaggio had his 50-game hit streak, was that 1941? Same
Yeah.
year Ted Williams hit?
Ted Williams hit 406 in
that
40
year.
in 41.
Yeah. I think DiMaggio had 32 strikeouts that year.
Son-
The whole
Unreal.
and just think, after he had his 56
he went on
game
another
hitting streak, he had 17 game hitting streak after that.
That's unreal.
So 73 out of 74 games he got a hit.
Unreal. Boy, these guys, we talk about turning over in their graves.
Yeah. And not only that, but he had
Sorry, I just can't get excited about
He had a
home
full-
run people with these strikeouts.
Jolton Joe had a flower shop deliver, I think it was a white rose every day to his former wife, Marilyn.
To Marilyn?
Yeah.
Now,
He-
I just watched, it was an old documentary on Babe Ruth. There's another guy, you look at his slugging percentage, his batting average, RBIs, when he hit 54 home runs, his batting average was 340, 350.
Huh.
That guy was good.
Well, the thing about
And he
Babe,
didn't strike out a ton of times
No,
either. Right?
he struck out some,
Yeah.
but he put the ball in play. He had thousands of singles and doubles, and he had over 3,000 hits too, didn't he?
I don't think he did, but
Boy,
that's
I'm not
something you
sure.
check. But the thing about Babe Ruth was, of course, known for all his home runs, but the people that would be the runner-up for the home run title
Yeah.
would have like 18.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was,
He had more in 1920. He had 54 home runs. He had more than any other team had.
really.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
And just think, as a pitcher,
Yeah.
he'd have been a Hall of Famer as a pitcher.
Oh, there's no question.
What do you have,
decent pitcher.
19 shutout innings in the World Series?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, for the Red Sox. Yeah.
No, Babe Ruth, there's a reason why things are Ruthian.
Check 1, 2.
Babe Ruth was, and Hank Aaron was good, but Hank's stats don't even hold
No.
a candle to Babe.
Yeah.
No. And that's how use my barometer on the greatness of a player. Babe Ruth was so far ahead of his peers, and that's the way I look at Bobby Orr. People might want to say, and I'm not going to argue, that Wayne Gretzky was the greatest player of all time. Fine.
You'll take Bobby, right?
But Bobby Orr, when we watched him in his prime in the late 60s, very early 70s, was just so much better than anybody
And not
else.
to mention just revolutionizing the game
That's
as a,
the right
as a
word.
defenseman.
And if Bobby Orr had one really bad knee and the other knee wasn't that
Yeah,
great.
Dave and I got into this last week about how his good friend Alan Eagleson totally screwed him and a bunch of other people.
Yeah. His agent was Alan Eagleson, right?
The Eagle,
And
yeah, nice guy.
Did they rescind? I think he was voted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, they took him out.
No,
And they
absolutely.
rescinded his Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Did he do some jail time, Eagles?
Yeah, he did.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, he absconded all the Players Association retirement money.
Yeah.
And
All
Dave
these
mentioned
guys'
something
pensions.
I had forgotten that the Bruin, when he went to Chicago, right?
Yes.
Alan Eagleson saying, "Oh, Bobby, the Blackhawks are giving you a much better deal." Dave reminded me or told me, "Hey, guess what? The Bruins were prepared to give him some of the team."
He was going to be part owner of the team.
Well, welcome, I should say, LeBron James to my Red Sox.
Now, did I? The other thing, Hawk, when I was doing the LeClaire tournament, I ended up picking up Dave Schultz,
The Hammer.
the Hammer, and he told me if Alan Eagleson was in a room, he'd kill him. He told me his pension, this was probably, 15, 20 years ago, and he played a lot of games. He played 800 games. His pension was $800 a month.
Wow.
And what Eagleson did, where he really screwed over the players, was back then the players were paid by slot because there was no free agent. So like the Flyers' highest paid player would have been Bob Clark. Well, let's say Rick McLeish.
Yep, good
So
memory.
Eagleson would tell the Flyers and say, hey, look, McLeish ought to be getting $125 because you're playing Clark $150, but I can get McLeish to sign for $100. You give me $20 under the table.
Wow.
And that's what he did. And so when Schultz should have been getting 75, he only got 50.
Wow.
And that's what Eagleson did, plus all sorts of other criminal, awful things.
Yeah.
Wow.
But Bobby Orr was one of the greatest. I got some of the stuff for Babe Ruth.
Okay.
All right. Career batting average, 342.
Wow.
I never would have guessed that high.
714 home runs. And you got to remember, he pitched for a lot.
And keep in mind, David, I bet he didn't get more than 3 infield hits his whole life. I mean, he was a big man.
2,873 hits,
Wow.
2,200 RBIs. His pitching record, 94 and 46.
Wow. Unreal.
ERA, 2.28.
That's crazy.
And he's third on the home run list, 10th in batting average, second in RBIs, first all-time slugging percentage, 690. All-time base percentage, 474.
Wow.
OPS, 1164. All-time runs, so he wasn't just a one-trick pony. 2174, total bases 5793, third on the all-time walks list.
He's my president. I haven't
Okay.
touched this water.
So,
David, how many strikeouts did he have?
well, let's see, I can tell you. 1,330.
Divide
strikeouts.
that by how many seasons did he play?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18,
That's not-
19,
that's not
20,
terrible.
21, 22, 23, 24.
Oh, really? Wow.
20, about 25 seasons.
Yeah, about 55 strikeouts a
Geez,
year.
that's not nothing.
For the biggest slugger of all.
And when he struck out, it was momentum because he swung hard. But Babe Ruth is the Babe Ruth.
Yeah, yeah. And his PEDs were beer and hot dogs.
Oh, he had voracious appetites
Yeah.
of all kinds for everything of life.
Yeah, yeah.
Boy, I'm telling you, I just think baseball, this strikeout thing, this homer strikeout thing is just starting to lose me.
They're starting they've got some things they're doing in the minor leagues.
Boy, got a bunch of rules.
That they're trying, what they've decided now is they want more balls in play.
Gee, funny why they, think about that.
So we'll see how that works. But
David, are they going to experiment with the two things, the pitch clock, and the other question I have is the robo umpire?
they are. And the pitch clock they've already had. The
Okay.
guys, the minor leagues have had the pitch clocks for the last 3-4 years.
Okay.
So
Well-
these guys coming up, the games, there was a game, I forget where I read it. 15 years ago, there was a score, the game was 11-10, took 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Same number of hits, same number of runs. This year, 11-10 game, took like 4 hours and 4
I
minutes.
mean, Red Sox, Yankees routinely play
Oh, they're
close to
awful.
4-hour
Yes.
games.
Yeah. And with so many
Wow.
balls being pitched,
Yeah.
They're doing something in the minor leagues to increase stealing. I forget what it is.
Right, the pitcher can't, in fact, I heard that the other day.
does he have to take his foot off the rubber?
Once a
Yeah, maybe he's
Right,
gotta have-
exactly. Once a pitcher's foot is on the rubber, the pitcher cannot throw to a base.
So
This should increase
But dude,
stealing.
when you're making $30 million, and
Yeah.
I'll give you an example, Bryce Harper used to be a really good base stealer.
And just doesn't bother anymore? Why bother? Why
get hurt?
Yeah,
well, in the statistic-driven world that we live in, they figure it's better to get a walk and score on a home run than it is to hit a grounder and get on base and then work your way over.
Right. There are analytics, and I can't remember the stats, like Dave mentioned. You get a walk, remember the old days? You'd sacrifice them over, but the analytics
Tell
say,
them that it's better not to walk.
right, do not give up an L.
Oh, the other big thing they're doing in the minor leagues is the infielders all have to be in the dirt.
right, yeah.
And
Can't shift. They have to be in the dirt.
they
And
got to
two guys
be
on
two
the-
on each side of the.
Yeah.
But, I did hear that.
But it's so sad to me that it's come to this. I
Right.
hate to see rules change. I can understand why it's just so sad to me it's come to this.
Dude, you should be able to play wherever you want. Now, remember Wade Boggs? Did you ever meet a player that used the ball field, the whole
Sure,
field?
right.
Can you imagine Wade Boggs
You
playing
wonder
today?
why the guy was such a good hitter.
He easily, no doubt in my mind, would have been a 400.
Tony Gwynn
hitter.
too.
Yeah.
Tony Gwynn, yeah.
Tony
The
Gwynn.
guys could hit to right field, they hit the left field, they hit
Yeah.
the center, they hit where the pitch is.
Yeah.
And they didn't strike out 200 times.
Right, and now you have players, all they have to do is lay down a friggin' quarter decent bunt to get a hit, and they won't even
Yeah.
think
Now,
about it.
Duke, you're not alone about losing your taste buds for baseball. I don't enjoy it as much as I used to
All right.
either, because I'm a boring old man that would get excited on a great sacrifice bunt.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
even think they practice bunting
Yeah.
anymore.
Probably not.
Well,
And boy,
and-
7-inning games are getting, I'm not sure they're doing that.
7-inning games are
But
coming
I'm
back
hearing
this
more
year,
and
too.
more attention. Hey, don't be surprised if Major League Baseball, down the road not too far, it goes to 7-inning games.
For double headers, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially doubleheaders for sure, but I'm even hearing beyond doubleheaders maybe.
When
I mean,
we
if they can't shorten the game, they're
Right.
They're going to lose. They better do
There's
something.
still some talk of DH in the National League, but of course the Players Union and the MLB, they get along so well.
Right, they get along great.
It's awful.
Hey, one baseball note. I think when we last left the Lake Monsters, they were history and in their present form. For the record, there is going to be baseball. I still don't have a good. It sounds like it's mostly college players.
It's college players. Don't
Okay.
let them fool you.
So you're not excited about
the
that?
level, even single A short season
Yeah.
level of play was here. These are just good college players.
Okay, but I'm just saying, if
You know,
I
if
mean,
you
I'd
want,
probably catch up.
right?
You know.
No, if you,
I'm not as
and I would
excited,
go-
but there's something.
I'll go down with you, catch
Yeah.
some sun rays, and drink a few Frosties
Yeah.
with you. Beer prices aren't too bad down there.
Yeah, but you're right. It's definitely going down. But just for the record, in fact, I heard C.J. Knudsen, I think, is coming back. He was like GM years ago, I think. He was on VMT this morning. But for the record, there will be, I guess, some baseball at Centennial. But you're right.
Yeah.
It's definitely down. I think
time.
the reference was they averaged 2,300 fans last season. They've been kind of gradually going down.
The exhibition season, if it means anything, the Yankees look like world beaters.
It means nothing.
They supposedly, German or whatever his name is pitching like a stud.
He's a good pitcher.
The guy they picked up from Pittsburgh, I don't think's given up a run yet.
Jameson
Talon.
yeah.
And of course you got Cole.
How's Kluber been pitching?
Kluber's been pitching great.
Pitching great, right?
Kluber looks like
Isn't it funny, 3 years ago, you could have an argument, who's the best pitcher in the American League? Is it Chris Sale or Corey Kluber?
and the guy we love to hate, Sanchez, looks like Yogi Berra. He's catching
Right.
great.
Yeah.
He's hit like 5-6 home runs.
Hawken, I wanted to mention this to you. I made the official apology. I hate throwing out inaccurate info, which hopefully I don't do too often, but I mentioned this to Dave last week. And in fact, the Paw Sox are history. I was claiming they had one more year. We're still building Polar Park in Worcester. In fact, I guess Polar Park is obviously just about ready because the Woo Sox opened their season there, I think, on May 4th. So the Paw Sox are history. Worcester gets its baseball starting in May.
I went to Worcester twice in my lifetime.
Probably was it the Centrum, the big music venue there?
Well, I did go there once to see Fleetwood Mac
Really?
with all the members, maybe close to 20 years ago.
Wow.
And I went down during the Tim Thomas, Eric Perrin, Martin St. Louis era to a NCAA
No, really.
game.
Now you know what I saw at the
They're
Central
2 times ahead of me.
was the UVM basketball when they beat Syracuse.
Was that?
Wait.
That was in Worcester.
Are you
really?
telling me you were at that game?
I was at that game.
How come
wow.
I did not know this?
Huh.
And then I went to the game on Sunday when they played Ohio State. And we were almost courtside on those tickets.
Wow. Was that? I forget that. Did they get killed that game or not?
Yeah, they did. They ran out of gas.
Okay.
The difference between the Syracuse game and the Michigan
Ohio
State
State.
game. It wasn't
Michigan
Ohio
State
it was
or Ohio
Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Is Michigan State. Is Syracuse played to UVM's strength.
And of course, I'm sure they played a zone. Maybe that.
They
helped you,
didn't
yeah.
run. UVM only had 5 or 6 guys. They played a slow game, and UVM was able to hang on. Michigan State, on the other hand, had about 4 big bruisers, and they ran those guys right at our old buddy from St. Johnsbury. What was his name?
Bruce,
Coppenroth.
Mr.
Coppenroth.
Dalrymple.
They ran
out of
them.
Georgia, out of
No.
They
Taylor
Georgia Tech
Coppenroth.
star
yeah.
later.
They ran them
Bruce
hard,
Henry or
and
Henry Bruce
they
Dalrymple.
just ran fresh troops out
Wow.
and ran them. They tired them right out.
Yeah.
But I went to that game with Leonard,
Okay.
Oh, really?
and Leonard sat with CJ,
Huh.
or LJ, excuse me, CJ.
His son,
His
LJ.
son LJ had gotten tickets on the internet, and I brought Bud Handy to the Michigan State game, and I
Okay.
went on Friday with Kevin Manion. Friday night, we drove down and drove back in the same night.
Really?
That was that was one of those 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Duke, I want to tell you a quick little story. So, I have a tax client, construction guy, and he looks like a construction guy.
Yeah.
Big, burly, tough guy, not a wimpy-looking person such as myself. So, he's telling me, he's done work at the new sports complex at UVM. He says he'll be back there around the 1st of May. So I asked him what he was doing, and he was telling me, of course, I nod my head, pretending I know what he's talking about, and he was saying on Gutterson about supporting that wall because the Tarrant Center will be attached to Gutterson.
Yeah.
So unwittingly, I just said, I see highlights of games at Gutterson, but I know nobody's allowed in there, but the bleachers are still there. Now, I'll back up a second. I did hear the student end with the bleachers would remain. I did hear that. So I said, what the heck's going on? I mean, you got all this time to gut the gut. Why are the bleachers still there? He goes to me, they're not taking them out. I go, excuse me? He goes, no, I'm not aware they're going to be putting individual seats in. I go, boy, that's not what I heard. And a couple years back, the AD, Jeff Schumann, I talked to him briefly, and he actually asked me questions. How do you feel us not getting a new hockey arena, but doing a really nice job refurbing Gutterson? And I said, Jeff, here's my thought on that. Two things. I want my own seat. I don't want to sit on bleachers and feel like a sardine anymore. And number two, like any decent rink, I want to walk around. Stretch your legs between periods like Kreitzberg or down to Middlebury. Okay, well, so I said, when you're back to work, here's my card, give me a call. So about a week later, clients come in, husband, wife, they both work at UVM, nice jobs down there. And in fact, they don't sit any further away than you and me do. Might even be closer. And I said, what the heck's going on here? I told him, the construction guy, he goes, no, they're not putting new seats in. I go, you're crazy. Now, if you've seen anything about Gutterson Fieldhouse, they put a multi-million-dollar scoreboard sitting there. It's up already. And if this is in lieu of my own personal seat,
So you're thinking they changed their plans then?
they did go down, right, from about $1.25 down to like 95, but they won't keep within budget. So they slashed about 30 million off the budget. Now, the Tarrant Center, that Richard Tarrant, I think, was it $15-20 million he gave to the school.
Right.
To get his name up there. So I may give him 21 so I can call it the Nighthawk Center.
Of course, so you're concerned that the Gut may just have a nice new big scoreboard and nothing.
Yeah, so this construction guy, I said, you know what, I might grab you, put you on the show for a number of minutes, just to get the inside nuts and bolts, no pun intended, about what's really going on there. But as you know, this fall, I think Schumann said, with the money issues they've had, that they were going to concentrate on Gutterson first.
Tarrant Center at the moment is still on pause, I assume.
Yeah, I don't think anything's happened.
So, but
that
what
sounds
in the heck,
weird.
Again, Mr. N Technology, okay, I don't care about a big fancy scoreboard that tells you to cheer, okay? I cheer on the inside. I want to watch the game in comfort. And again, when I go down Norwich or I go to Middlebury College.
What about Plattsburgh State? Is that a decent?
Plattsburgh State,
okay.
Not a bad rank.
They gutted the Stafford Arena after
Ronald Stafford, the very highly touted longtime former state senator.
Yeah. So when I first started going to Plattsburgh State to watch games, they had bleachers. They gutted it out, and they didn't sell out there, and they lost a number of capacity. But they said, well, we don't sell out. They put individual seats, and that was built in the mid-'70s, and they do a terrific job upkeeping that place. Really nice arena. And Kreitzberg is coming close to the quarter-century mark, and you go in there, and you think it's only about 5 years old. Really? Just a terrific place. And they were on a limited budget. There's no bells and whistles in that place. But gee whiz, Duke, if I find out,
what they paid for Kreitzberg? $6 million.
Is that right?
I thought it was. David, can you check your?
Kreitzberg was $6 million. Middlebury was about $12 million.
That was the Kenyon Arena. Chip Kenyon, former student there, who made millions in the.
And I remember that Trinity built a new arena when Emmy was there, and they spent $14 million, and it wasn't as nice as either of those two. Mm-hmm. But Kreitzberg was $6 million.
Wow!
Think about that. $6 million won't even get you
nothing.
Nothing. Hey, the way construction is right now, costs have tripled in the last couple, 2-3 years.
Well, listen, you go to my house,
Materials are nuts.
Yeah.
there's a missing garage. Okay. To elevate my stupidity here, my garage was part of the house. It was really a barn, okay, 100 years old. And the insurance company came and they said, we're not going to insure it anymore. And it did surprise me. It was in rickety shape and certainly nothing you want to invest money in. So I told my wife, well, I don't care if it tips over, I'll get 2 new cars. I don't care. Then I said, going back to my philosophy, you don't want to be the richest man in the cemetery. I said, look, Donna, we're in our 60s. Let's just build a nice 2-door garage. And will there be a handyman bench in there? What do you think, David?
No.
Oh, exactly. Okay.
Like me.
Right. And I said, I don't need it insulated. It's just to protect the cars. So last fall, knocked down the barn, and this was awesome. And again, I've always been a desk jockey my whole life, and I was there. Mike Gosselin tore it down. So I'm watching through the kitchen window. I counted, and I knew there were raccoons living there. I counted 5 raccoons flying out. Mike Gosselin told me he counted 15. 15 raccoons.
Wow.
Free rent in the barn/garage. So that was knocked down.
Maybe they spent some time in the kayaks over the winter.
And then I had the foundation work done. So I'm about $9,000 into it at that point. Good old stupid me. My wife's ex-husband is going to build it.
Really?
And lo and behold, something called COVID hit the country. Lumber prices
one
went
year
up
ago.
3 times as much. And any man's man would know something like that. And I said, I'm not paying that kind of price. I'll winter the winter without it. And I've done something. So I took my vehicle, thanks, David, and I put that away in a nice, safe, warm garage for the winter. Kept my wife's vehicle out. But I haven't brushed a car off in 40 years, okay? You miss a garage when you don't have it.
Yeah, you do.
And so I'm hopeful to get that built, but everybody tells me that
It's only getting worse.
that has any knowledge
Really?
has told me that prices have not gone down. And of course, with the low interest rates for housing, a lot of building going on. There's a great demand for wood.
The construction, just to give you an idea, the guys that bid, that did our work at our store, bid on a new Subaru store that's supposed to
Okay,
be coming
let
in.
me just tell you, the same guys that built the addition to David's dealership is the same exact people that built this place.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, same
Stewards.
architects.
So anyway, to get to the story, and our construction was done 5 years ago, and we were told that it was more expensive than if we'd have started off with a clean sheet of paper, because you have to do all this other stuff
Yep.
when you rehab it, and we spent about $3.5 million. This new store, which won't even be as big as ours, the initial bids came in at $9 million.
Wow. How do you know that? How would you get information like that?
Well, the guy that built ours was in getting his truck serviced.
Okay.
And because they didn't get the bid.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it's the way the construction is going right now. Mike, your buddy Mike Gosselin told me that he had somebody that he'd bid last year some work, and it was $18,000. He bid it this year. They didn't do it, and he said, "Well, what's it going to cost me this year, Mike?" He said $46,000.
Whoa.
That's how nuts it is.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example for just the cheapest kind of plywood you can get, particle board, 4x8, 3/8 inch particle board, a year or two ago was $7-8 a sheet. That's $30 a sheet now.
Is that right?
Yes.
Wow.
So construction, and it's not going to get better.
Yeah.
It's not, if you think, well, it's going to maybe 3 years from now, when the world blows up and all of a sudden, we instead of having 30 trillion, we got $100 trillion worth of debt, and everything is free. But it's really amazing how expensive construction stuff is.
Well, a client says to me, and he says, yeah, I was going to build a brand new deck on my house, and I went to Lowe's or wherever and found out how much that was, and I said, don't need it.
It's nuts. Hey, you know what we got to talk about? How about that Players Championship? That was really good to watch.
Yeah, that was fun.
Talk to the Duke.
Hawk's not a big JT guy.
Well, it's not.
I don't like JT either.
I just don't
pretty good
have
golfer,
time.
though.
But what happened to DeChambeau?
DeChambeau didn't play great on Sunday. Neither did Westwood. And Thomas
Although Westwood just lost by one stroke.
Yeah, but you know what he did? There's a bunch of holes there that are really
Isn't that
easy.
a beautiful? I've caught that tourney twice long ago. Isn't that a beautiful course? I love that
Duke,
course.
can you play there?
Yeah, I think you can.
That I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I think you can. What happened was Westwood and DeChambeau played fine through Saturday. Then on Sunday, they were all over the place. They had one hole. It looked like something. It looked like you and I. They were in a golf. They were in a car pass. They were in the water. It was awful. It's like the third or fourth hole, and they just weren't right. And they did well. They did well to only be as off as they were.
Yeah, I mean Westwood just lost by a stroke.
But there's like a par 4. I can't tell you what number it is. That's a 269-yard par 4 that everybody was eagling and at least birdieing. Westwood got a par on it. I think DeChambeau did too.
Were a lot of people putting their drives on the green?
Yeah, some did. And then the par 5s. The par 5s, Thomas had a stretch, I think, from 8, 9, 10, 11.
Birdie, eagle, birdie, I think.
Yeah, birdie, eagle,
Just
birdie.
caught fire.
And then he played good and he finished strong.
Yeah.
And
I love his tee shot on 18 with the water.
oh,
It's a tough hole. I
And he-
think didn't he hit an iron? But it landed. Had he had the wrong bounce, it absolutely looked like it was going to probably bounce in the water. Instead, it just kind of follows the curve of the fairway.
now to give Westwood credit,
I like Westwood.
Westwood finished. He made a birdie on 18.
Yeah.
That was worth $600,000.
Oh, is that right?
That was the difference between what he got by finishing
Wow.
second all alone,
Unreal.
instead of sharing it with 3 or 4 other guys.
Yeah, the winner hawk, biggest purse in golf, 15 mil. Winner 2.7 mil for JT, and I think second place is 1.3 mil, which is usually the winning check and the check for the winner of most of these
Thomas
tourneys.
got 2.7 million.
2.7 mil
And-
for JT.
For the last 2 weeks, Lee Westwood made $2.6 million.
Wow. Also Westwood and DeChambeau were played together in the last group. That was the first time the same two people had played in the last group.
2 weeks in a row.
On Sunday in like over 15 years, I
Yeah.
think, or something.
And Westwood said, hey, look, I didn't play good enough. Westwood made some terrific recovery shots. He hit one drive in one of those bunkers.
Yeah.
And then I remember he had 200 yards to the green, and he put the ball on the green out of a bunker.
No, I loved it. I was all over it Saturday, not as much Sunday, but I
Saturday
just really
he played.
enjoyed
Saturday Westwood was tight.
Does that mean a lot to you guys that they moved this tourney back from May to March?
No, I think that was a very good
idea.
Good move.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives them basically 5 months. It gives TPC, which is the best field in golf. It's, again, the 5th major. I mean, it's a huge tourney.
I think it's a bigger
Masters in
tournament.
April, PGA now in May. Just gives them consecutive
Boy,
months.
the PGA, the ugly sister,
Which has come up.
now is going to get some notoriety.
And it's a
playing
beautiful course. In
Dude,
fact, South Carolina gets 2. I'll
can
be at
you-
RBC Heritage. and
Kauai Island,
Kiowa.
Kiowa.
It's
Where
nice.
Rory Matt,
have you been
where
there?
Rory, I've never been. I go near it. I've never been out there. But Rory won. I think it was a PGA there 10 years ago by like 10 strokes or something.
My
the Ocean
old,
course. It's a beautiful course.
My old member guest partner, Eddie Tessier, used to be a member there.
Is that
Kiowa,
right?
yeah.
Wow. Beautiful place. I mean, I know the South Carolina coast well. I've never been out there, but it's a beautiful place.
You know-
It's not a cheap date if you're looking to
No.
buy a house out there or something.
As you know, Canada is locked up and threw away the keep. I don't know if you guys know if they canceled the Canadian Open already this year.
Well, I haven't
Canada's a
heard a
mess.
thing.
Yeah, they're not getting vaccinated up there, and it's a mess up there, you're right.
And we have Honda Classic starting tomorrow.
Yep.
Isn't that the bear trap or something?
Yes,
That
yes.
The last couple holes there are pretty tough.
Right
I
around
think.
that pond.
Yeah.
Duke, you have an amazing memory.
But hey, yeah, again, like I always tell you, just don't ask me what I did yesterday or something.
So
No, my memory gets shakier by the day. But no, TPC was great. I loved it.
The
Mark,
golf,
I think I told you in a phone message, the first day, 35 balls in the water on the
17?
island green, second most ever and around there. And it was it was a pretty nice day. It didn't look like there was much wind. I don't know what their problem was Thursday.
So
That-
Duke,
Anyway.
oh, go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, you know what? That course has aged really well. Because I remember when they first built it, there was a lot
of criticism, right?
A lot of criticism of it. But now it looks good.
Yeah.
And it's really a fun course because you've got a combination of some really tough holes
Yeah.
and some really easy holes. Plus,
Yeah.
I think the other thing they do there is they don't trick the course up too much. They want the players to have good scores.
Yeah.
It's a fun tournament.
Yeah, that's great. And in fact, like I said, I was here twice long ago, and there's some of the berms or whatever. For spectators, it's good. There's some places you can see like a couple, 3 holes and stuff. I think they did a great job with that. But you're right, it's aged very well.
So Duke, I want to turn my attention quickly over to the Boston Celtics. I'm watching the game last night,
Yeah.
playing the Utah Jazz with the best
My
record.
man Quinn Snyder.
Best record in basketball.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, the Blue Devils of Duke University should immediately grab
Oh,
Quinn
grab
Snyder
Quinn as Coach
and
K's
just help
successor.
Coach K hit the pasture. Quinn Snyder is he's a great
Huh.
great coach because I love watching the Jazz.
Yeah.
Because they actually, Duke, listen to this, they play team basketball.
Although they do, they're a huge 3-point. I mean, they bought into the 3-point shooting
they have
big
Rudy
time.
Gobert, an old-fashioned center.
Yeah.
That's, just an absolutely great defender.
And Donovan's a very good player,
Donovan
right?
Mitchell.
But they play, but it's a really good team.
It's a good team, and I can't think of a better candidate for
No,
Duke
might be right.
than Quinn Snyder. Now, the
I
Celtics.
think Coach K is just happy. This season sounded like
Yeah.
it was a huge drag.
They did win Duke, though. Didn't they win
Well, it
2
was
games?
funny. Their one chance to get into the tournament was to, if not win the ACC tournament, probably at least to get into the finals. And they won the first 2 games easily. They looked like they had come back together. They were going to play Florida State in the third game, only to have, I guess, one of their players test positive. Season over.
I don't get why they stopped playing. Can't they just tell him
No.
go home?
No,
No,
I think-
'cause the other guys
because
probably got
he
it, too.
may have affected the other
But can't
players
they
and stuff.
test the other players?
Well, they did, but as soon as one player is tested positive, it's,
One-
that's
all
it.
of that. One and done.
That happens quite a bit, though, in the NBA.
Well, I
It's-
guess college is a little different.
So the Celtics, Duke, right now, they're
Yeah.
6th place, okay? Game and a half from 4th place. It is bunched up. The 12th place team, Toronto, is 10 and a half out. 4th place team is 6 out.
Wow.
And the team ahead of Boston, led by 2 former Celtics who are having great years, Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier, who he traded
Wow.
to get
That's
Kemba
right.
Walker.
That's
Gordon's averaging 21 points. Rozier is averaging 20 points.
Is that right? Rozier's having
Yeah,
a very
they've been
good
the
year.
surprise.
Huh? Wow.
Nobody gave him any chance to making a playoff.
Interesting.
So,
Hawk, you don't regard, I mean, we talked Celtics before. Don't they seem to be a second-tier team, or have you got some hope they could challenge? I mean, don't the Nets, and I hate,
Yeah.
you know how much I hate Kyrie, but the
He's
Nets
hurt
look
again.
like a pretty decent team, don't
Duke,
they?
you answered your question
Yeah.
very appropriately. They
Yeah.
are a second-tier team.
Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it.
And I love the speculation about what the Indiana Hoosiers making some noise. Hey, Brad, why don't you come back to Indiana?
I have not heard that.
No, you didn't? No, that was news today. I saw a headline.
I saw a rumor Rick Pitino going to Indiana.
No.
Rick Pitino, of course, has come back to life with the Gale. His Iona team is in the tournament.
Rick
Oh, yeah,
Pitino says that he's never leaving Iona.
Okay, right. If you believe anything Rick Pitino tells you.
He
I've
says,
got
I left Providence too soon. I wish I'd have stayed there longer, but he
wish he
says,
had never
this
gone
is
anywhere
my
near the
last.
Celtics and the embarrassment as a Celtics coach.
He was the worst coach I ever had.
Well, how about,
How about treating Red Auerbach like an old shoe?
Right, well, how about saying, hey, Red Auerbach's hey, forget that, I'm the president,
That is one of the
he should be
most
shot for
amazing things in my whole sports career.
that. Unbelievable.
Rick Pitino stripped Red Auerbach,
Yeah.
who just was an old man, but
Unbelievable.
Still
That's all
smarter
you
than
have,
Pitino ever was.
And-
that's all you have to know about Rick Pitino.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Hawk, I'm trying to find, Indiana was making some noise about bringing Brad back to Hoosier land.
I'll tell you what, if I were him, I'd think about it because
I think he's a good guy. He's a good coach. But no, I think his Butler, when they just about beat the Dukies here in the championship game, he missed by like a half an inch. But I think something tells me he's
Coaching
a
college-
much better college coach.
coaching college basketball has got to be 1,000 times more fun than coaching pros.
Right. I mean, Coach K, give Coach K credit. The Celtics came after him big time. He could have gone there. The Lakers came after him. He made, I got to think, what a decision. I mean, he's God in Durham. You should, like I said, you should see as I've mentioned, the place, his office is better guarded than the White House and stuff.
I know that being the head coach of the Boston Celtics is a very lofty position, but I tend to agree with you. You go to a top-notch school like Indiana U, and Indiana's kind of like the college or the basketball state in the country.
No,
Yeah,
it's
they
huge.
are.
I've never been to Bloomington, but have you ever been to Bloomington?
No.
No.
I've always
never
heard
been in
it's
Indiana.
But you know what?
it's a classic college. Sounds like a classic college town.
Because I don't see the Celtics really getting much better because they've,
Hawk, here it is, Stevens. I already have a job. Calls talking Hoosier land, flattering. But yeah, that just came
the
up.
Celtics have extremely weak bench. Danny Ainge
Yeah.
did an extremely poor job of drafting
Yeah.
all these number one picks.
Yeah.
There's not much there. I remember the Celtics going hot and heavy over Coach K. Duke, we're talking what? Early 90s, late 80s?
Well, maybe a little later, but a long
Yeah, I
time
mean,
ago.
they offered him the world.
Yeah.
And
As I
you
think
get a
the
good
Lakers
college position,
You don't want it.
you don't want
Yeah.
to leave.
Plus, you got guys making $30 million that don't even give a crap.
Exactly. I mean, what could be a better college or a coaching position, basketball anywhere, than
Duke.
Duke?
Yeah, sounds like
I
a
mean,
pretty good job to me.
And not only is Quinn Snyder a great coach, he's got a great head of hair, too.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Of course, Quinn Snyder is old friend Larry Brown's son-in-law, I think. Didn't he marry his wife? I think is Larry Brown of
Okay.
of Carolina pro basketball coaching fame. I think Larry's Quinn's father-in-law.
How are our Canadians doing?
They're playing tonight.
Hopefully better than the Bruins.
The Bruins and the Canadians, respectively,
Yeah,
are
Bruins
fourth
can't
place
score.
in each of their divisions. Boston's been kind of tailing off.
They can't score.
They're 4-4-2 in their last 10 games. The Habs are 4-3-3 in their last 10 games. And as we've talked about numerous times, you don't bust your balls to try to finish in first place. It just save yourself.
Yeah.
Peak. The regular season doesn't end until I think May 10th this year. So you don't want to peak in March.
No.
And I'm not a Bruins guy, but I will say this: they still have Tuukka Rask, that was runner-up in the Vezina Trophy.
Now injured
Right.
now injured.
And I would take your time bringing him back. course, I didn't realize this.
They got a good start last night from a baby Bruin goalie.
Yeah.
Dan Vladar.
Connor Hellebuck won the Vezina Trophy last year for best goaltender from the Winnipeg Jets. I didn't know this until a few weeks ago, and I probably saw him play. Do you know where he played his college hockey?
No. Hockey.
Lowell.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
Hockey East
And of
guy?
course, he's bigger than a house. And I was listening to,
Hawk down to 1 minute for the record.
geez. The guy on a 690.
Tony Manib.
He's a guest every day.
Knuckles Nylon?
No, at 4 o'clock hour. Oh, I can't.
all right.
But anyways, he was talking about goaltending. He says, you don't even think you're an NHL goalie unless you're at least 6 feet 2 inches.
Is that right?
It's
No
big-
more small guys.
No, it's a big man's
Block
position.
that net.
So that is it. That flew by rather quickly. I want to thank our engineer, even though we did have some audio issues. His review's coming up next week, so we'll talk to him about that. Thanks, Alan. For Super Dave, the Duke, I'm the Nighthawk. And remember, folks, as always, you do not have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Ciao.
Adios.
See ya. Go ACC teams.